You open your refrigerator. A storm has knocked out the power in your neighborhood. Within 24 hours, the ice melts, the milk goes sour, and the expensive meat inside starts to smell. You have no choice but to throw it all in the trash. Today, without a humming electrical box in our kitchens, we can barely keep our food safe for a single day. But imagine it is 15,000 years ago. You and your tribe have just done the impossible. You have successfully hunted a woolly mammoth. It weighs 6 tons. It provides enough meat to feed your tribe for months. But there is a massive problem. Your tribe of 30 people cannot eat a 6-ton mammoth in one sitting. If you just leave that meat out, within hours, wolves, bears, and billions of bacteria will claim it. You don't have Tupperware, you don't have a freezer, and you certainly don't have electricity. So how did ancient humans keep mountains of meat from rotting? The answer shows that early humans weren't just hunters. They were absolute masters of chemistry and thermodynamics. The first method they used was the earth itself. During the Ice Age, the ground was naturally freezing, but simply leaving meat on the snow was an invitation for scavengers. They needed a secure freezer. Archaeologists in North America have discovered ancient underwater meat caches. Hunters would butcher an animal, attach heavy stones to the massive cuts of meat, and sink them to the bottom of freezing ponds. This was a stroke of genius. The freezing water kept the meat away from land predators, and it created a natural, oxygen-free vacuum seal. In fact, when archaeologists found the remains of a mastodon stored this way in Michigan, they realized the meat had been naturally fermented by lactobacilli, the exact same good bacteria we use to make cheese and yogurt today. The cold water didn't just freeze the meat, it chemically pickled it, making it safe to eat for over 6 months. But what if you didn't live in the freezing cold? What if it was autumn or summer? This is where their survival engineering gets completely crazy. They use swamps. Specifically, they used peat bogs. A peat bog is a wetland filled with decaying moss. To us, it sounds gross and muddy, but to an ancient human, it was a chemical miracle. Peat bogs have highly acidic water, freezing underground temperatures, and almost zero oxygen. It is the exact chemical recipe required to stop bacteria from growing. Ancient humans would take fresh meat, wrap it tightly in animal skins, and bury it deep in the swamp mud. Scientists have actually tested this ancient technique today. They buried meat in a peat bog and left it there for 2 years. When they pulled it out, it hadn't rotted. It was completely preserved and safe to consume. The third strategy is the one that changed human migration forever. They mastered the chemistry of fire and air. Ancient humans realized that bacteria need moisture to survive. If you remove the water from the meat, you stop the decay entirely. They would slice the meat paper thin and hang it in the wind to dry. But they took it a step further. They hung it over smoky, smoldering fires. They didn't have microscopes to understand molecular science, but through observation, they figured out that smoke contains formaldehyde and acidic compounds that act as an invisible antimicrobial shield. They invented Jerky. This single invention meant they were no longer tied to one location. They could carry months' worth of lightweight, high-protein, non-rotting food in their pouches while walking across entire continents. Today, we think of food preservation as a modern miracle. We build massive, billion-dollar power plants, string millions of miles of copper wire, and manufacture toxic chemical refrigerants just to keep our dinner from rotting. If the power grid goes down, our food supply vanishes, and we panic. But ancient humans didn't need a fragile power grid. They didn't fight nature to preserve their food. They partnered with it. They used the ice, the swamps, and the wind as their kitchen appliances. We rely on delicate machines to keep us alive, but for 300,000 years, humans were smart enough to let the earth do the work.